welcome everyone to Baja Fun. We're your hosts, Lou and
Alva, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And we're here to talk to everyone today about our favorite topic, which is Baja California and Mexico. How do you feel about that?
Well, I love Baja. I never been there before, but once was enough to fall in love with the place. It's just a gorgeous place.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And so, I think before we started our journey, we watched a lot of different YouTube videos and talked, kind of listened to advice on Reddit, right? And all these forums trying to get the best information. And today we wanted to share with you really the top things to do to make your trip easier and more importantly, safer to Baja. So let's definitely dive into it. So I think the first topic, right, is how do you get there? Obviously, Baja California is a peninsula, and obviously there's a lot of different ways you can enter Mexico, right? So it depends what part of the country that you're coming from. But I think our preferred port of entry is Mexicali.
Yep. Yeah, because like it's the easiest way for us because one thing you're going to learn is we traveling with pets, and that's a point that we're going to talk later. Especially our pet is a large dog,
Yep,
so it's not so easy to fly with him. So
yep,
driving has been a preferred method.
for sure, for sure. So why do you think Mexicali is kind of our favorite port of entry?
Well, because I think so it's very easy. Is not that complicated. It's a straight shot, and it has been used uneventful.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And I think it's more laid back. Obviously, it depends what time of day you're going. Um, you know, I guess tip number one here.
Mhm.
We normally head out pretty early in the morning. So we're kind of hitting the road at sunrise because, depending on your destination in Baja, if you're driving to the most southern tip, so like Cabo area, obviously you're going to want to get a pretty early start to the day, right?
Yeah, and we cannot stress enough the road conditions over there. So
Yep.
that's the main reason in safety too.
Yep. So, okay. So, approaching immigration can definitely be a scary thing. I know for me, I saw that big sign, entering Mexico and kind of, the whole immigration station there. I think one of the things that can really, help out is make sure you're prepared before you enter Mexico, right? If you're coming from the US or even if you're coming from Canada, make sure you go online and you're filling out the appropriate documents. So I will have you guys do the research on that as far as what you need. I will tell you, one of the forms we had to fill out was an FMM form, which is an immigration form. It's much easier to have it printed out, have it on you in your car or vehicle, and then this way, when you walk into immigration, after they inspect your car, it's a less tense or stressful situation. What do you think?
Yes, it tends to be easier when you are prepared. You go, you hand the documents, and usually goes very smooth after that.
Yep, yep, definitely. So make sure you have that form printed out. I think there's also a fee, so you do need to pay a fee online. Again, if you throw into your Google browser FMM form Mexico, again, make sure you read through it, make sure you fill it out, have it prepared. Now, one of the confusing things that I hear a lot of people run into is when you enter Mexico, you're going to see immigration. They're probably going to stop you. They're going to talk to you about where you're headed. They're going to search your vehicle. All that is normal. What you want to make sure you do after they search your vehicle, you want to make sure you walk into and you park your car and you walk into the immigration center there. If you do not, you're going to be in big trouble. So make sure you get that done.
Yes, it's usually easier to ask as soon you cross the border where is the offices for immigration, because that is usually located exactly when you cross the border. It's, for us, it's like when you cross to Mexicali, is as soon you see the National Guard, then they search you. They is next to them. Is the building is right there. So you do it. Is for is the legal is you want to be legal in the country, and besides that, is for your protection too.
Exactly. Exactly. For your own safety. Okay. So you're pumped. You're excited. You're in Mexico now. Now, it depends where your final destination is in Baja, right? A lot of folks like to, go to, some of the closer cities, right? San Felipe is super popular,
Mhm.
Ensenada.
Loreto,
Exactly. I
Valle
mean,
de Guadalupe, and so it's a lot.
exactly. Exactly. There's definitely a lot of places there. But maybe even backing up a bit, let's talk about your car, right? Because I think a lot of people, at least from the YouTube videos I think that we watch, made it sound like, ah, such an easy drive.
Hmm.
Single highway in, single highway out,
Yeah.
piece of cake, no problem. A lot of beautiful sights along the way. The water is gorgeous, the mountains are gorgeous.
Mhm.
Um, but let's talk about some tips and tricks on making sure your vehicle is also prepared for the trip, because it's one thing for you to be prepared and another for your vehicle to be ready.
I think so mentally you need to be prepared too, because I don't think so they want to tell you what you're going to encounter. It's a long road, and there is the stretches of the road and are not in the best condition. So that's what the vehicle and the type of vehicle that you are choosing to take, it comes to big play for your own. You keep you safe on the road though.
Yeah, exactly. So no, your vehicle type I think is important. Now, can you drive down there in a car? Yes, you can. Most definitely you can. I will tell you the roads. As Elva said, the roads get pretty. Again, depending on how far south you're headed, the roads get pretty bad. Right, the potholes are
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Hmm.
They cover the entire highway, so
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of people swerving to avoid them. There's stretches of road where you just can't swerve to avoid them. It's the whole road that's in pretty bad shape.
And the animals too.
Yes, and
Hmm.
animals too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so vehicle definitely would recommend if you have an SUV or you have a truck, for sure. It is you will definitely feel more confident, right? That extra ride height will make you feel better. Really, a couple key things you want to check, right? First of all, depending on where you're coming from in the country, it's a long drive. You want to make sure your vehicle is well maintained, right? Do your oil change. Check how much coolant you have. Make sure take a little flashlight and look under your hood. See, hey, do I see anything leaking under there? If you do, you probably want to get that fixed and repaired before you head down there, right?
Yeah, because you're going to see as we experienced, and you don't find there is long stretches with nothing there.
Yep.
So if something happened, there is you may be in trouble.
Exactly. Exactly. And better to prepare and do your due diligence, do all your maintenance. Tires, very
Hmm.
important. Check your suspension. Is your car, is the suspension bad on your car? Is it, all over the road, drifting all over the road? You want to, again, make sure you're in a safe vehicle headed down there. So I think those key things are important. Your brakes, all that good stuff, are going to be important because, yeah, like Elvis said, you're going to go long stretches with nothing, and if you didn't replace that belt, if you have a really original belt that may snap, you haven't checked your
Yeah.
battery in a while, things like that. There is help along the way,
Mhm.
but again, it's going to be few and far in between. So you definitely want to make sure your vehicle is safe and ready to go. Let's talk a little bit about where to stop along the way. So I know we normally head out early in the morning, right?
Hmm. Yeah, but there is plenty little towns along the way that you can, if you have the time, and you don't have like a rush to arrive to a place, that the views, the scenery is just amazing. So there is plenty places to stop, and usually there is a lot of RVs for the people who RVing. There is. places where they are parks, so you can just park, take a walk, and you just enjoy the view. However, we usually are very destined focused, so we had the destination on mind. So try to make the better use of the day when
Yep.
we go over there.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and in the beginning, as as you get out of kind of the border towns, you start heading south. A lot of beautiful cities, a lot of beautiful towns to stop, grab a bite to eat.
Mm.
Um, Make sure you have gas at all times in your vehicle. I know this sounds hilarious, but it is a very easy thing. You're excited, or you're tired, or you're, distracted. You're busy talking. Make sure you have plenty of gas in your car. Gas down there is full service, so you don't have to get out to pump your gas, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yes,
Right?
and you have a vehicle and you are concerned about the octane of gas. Try to use Roja. That is
Exactly.
the red gas, so it's the high octane over there.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. So yeah, so they have regular gas, they have premium
Mhm.
gas there. So if you're, driving a vehicle that requires premium fuel, they do have that. And again, you do want to make sure you're stopping at legit gas stations. There are some places along the way where, they may have gasoline in bottles and things
Mhm.
like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, there is no need if you stop like
Yeah,
you just gas on the gas station and you fill out the tank and keep on going. Like
exactly.
if because we encounter like there is places that may just have the regular gas and not the premium gas. In our case, we do
Yeah.
have to put premium, so that's what we. Well, at least I always emphasize that.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so where to stop along the way? Well, this depends obviously where your final destination is. We like heading down, south, to the southern tip of Baja. So, you know, towns like Todos Santos, La Paz, Cabo, those places. So normally, kind of our strategy is we try to drive half of Baja in a day. We stop driving as soon as it turns to dusk, right? Because driving in Mexico at night is dangerous.
Hmm.
Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. You know, like a lot of people think then, oh, we're gonna be assaulted on the road. That road is just lonely. It's just well, you don't encounter that many people. But we talk about the potholes. So how you going to avoid something that you cannot see? So that's why
Exactly.
you have to be very, very careful, though.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, so driving at night, you don't want to do it. Okay? It's a bad idea. Has nothing really to do even necessarily about crime. Really has more to do about you're not going to be able to see things. Visibility is going to be terrible. You're not going to see those big potholes, which can do damage to your vehicle. You're going to be driving through the mountains. So you want to make sure you can see the road and don't drive off the road.
Yeah.
Not to be dramatic there, but
Yes. Or the
it's
donkeys, though.
pretty safe drive. But yeah, you have donkeys,
Yep.
you have
Yep.
cows, you have all kinds of animals wandering into the road, and at night, obviously, your visibility is lower, so you definitely don't want to do it. It's not worth the risk, not worth chancing it. So yeah, so we like to head down. We like to stop in a small town called Guerrero Negro.
Yeah.
Yep. And what are your thoughts on Guerrero Negro?
Well, for once, if you search Guerrero Negro, you're going to find in a lot of whales. There is a site, then whales tend to be seen, and it's a salt mine. It's one of the biggest one in the world. The town is the weather is just amazing there. It's just very odd. It's cool. You have this breeze, uh, then it's very unique to the town. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
it's always cooler.
this is always
Yeah,
cooler.
much cooler
It's
there.
much cooler there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice, right?
Mhm.
Because Baja's, obviously it's a desert, right? So most
Well,
of the time
part of
it's,
it.
well, yeah, part
Yeah,
of it,
part.
but it's, mainly pretty hot, right? So yeah, Guerrero Negro is pretty cool. They do whale watching
Well,
out
watch it.
there and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's definitely a good halfway point for us. Gets us, again, the majority of the way through the top half of Baja, and then the next morning we wake up pretty early and then hit the road again
Yep.
to head down south towards Cabo
Hmm.
and places like that. Um, the one thing I will say, things that you should have in your car, things you should be taking with you. Obviously, water,
Yeah.
big one, right? Make sure you have plenty of
Yes.
water on you. In case you get stuck, something
Hmm.
happens. Always good to have, extra water on you, drinks, things like that. Also, snacks along
Yep.
the way,
Hmm.
right? There are long stretches where you may get hungry and you may say,
I
"What?
want, yes, want something.
Yeah,
I'm
what do we
just,
have?"
yeah, what do
Right?
we have? Yep.
Yeah. So chips,
Yes. Yep.
cookies, things like that, are definitely good to have in
Hmm.
the car. And then maintenance stuff, right?
Hmm. Yep.
It is a good
Hmm.
idea to check your oil. It is a good idea to take a couple quarts of oil with you. It is a good idea to have a little coolant with you.
Hmm.
Things like that. Even if you're not super mechanically inclined, someone can help you. But having those things on hand definitely make it, I think, a little bit easier. Checking your spare tire
Yeah.
and
And
making sure you
yeah.
have a spare tire.
And another thing I think so is very important is if you don't have a good reception, because through the mountains you're gonna lose the reception.
Exactly.
So you download the maps before you head out there is better.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely a good tip. Have the, Google Maps you can
Hmm.
download. Even if you're offline this way, your navigation to wherever you're headed, um, is working. I will say navigation down there was pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
that was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've used both, Apple Maps
Hmm.
and Google Maps. Both have done pretty well down there. So I don't think we've had any issues on that. Um, yeah, and then obviously traveling through, you're gonna get tired along the way. Make sure you are stopping, stretch your legs. Grab that caffeinated drink of your choice, things like that to keep you going.
Hmm.
Like I said, it is a long road. You are going to experience very narrow aspects to the road, right? There's not really shoulders in certain parts of the
Yes.
highway, and definitely big trucks coming down on the other side of the lane. So
Hmm.
definitely want to make sure you're alert, and not dozing off, things like that. If you're starting to feel tired, pull over, stretch your legs, grab a Mexican Coke and
Yep.
and
Some burritos. So
exactly some
yeah.
burritos. Exactly. Um, what about traveling with pets? What are your thoughts about traveling? Because we have a dog.
Yeah, but yeah, I say that first. We have a big dog, so that actually that kind of put a limit on the forms of transportation that we can use. We try to stop and let him stretch his legs, take him for a little quick walk, uh, have plenty of water so he's been hydrated and uh, do his needs.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, and most hotels down there are pretty pet friendly,
Hmm. Yes, they are.
right? I mean, they kind of understand. There's certain areas where there's limited options on places where you can stay, right? And making sure, yeah, but most hotels are pretty laid back about dogs and things like that, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, I think those are kind of some of the key things. Like I said, the YouTube videos we saw, they were just so like rose colored glasses. It's the easiest drive in the world, and again, it's not a difficult drive. It's not a
Mhm.
difficult drive, but definitely, it's something that, again, you need to pay attention, make sure you're awake and alert, things like that, because there will be areas of the road where you're going to just swerve and things like
Yeah.
that, right?
And usually the trucks that you encounter, they kind of slow down so you can pass by, or they will signal you. So if you are stuck behind them too, so that's a good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, things you should have in your car. Let's
Oh,
go back to things you should have in your car. So we talked about snacks, we talked about water, all that stuff. Make sure you have copies of your paperwork.
oh yeah, that's important.
Okay, why is that important?
Yes, just in case you get asked for it. Usually, uh, they are more lenient when you see the National Guard. They understand. They usually just ask you a couple questions. But for example, you get in an accident. How do you file? Who is going to be your contact? All the information needs to be handy. So if If something happens, you can just have it over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
same thing with copies of your driver's license.
Yep.
Just copies of that.
Yep. So you definitely want to have a copy of your
Hmm.
passport.
Hmm.
Very important in case you lose your passport, something happens. Always good to have a copy of that, a copy of your driver's license. Make sure before you enter Mexico that you have Mexican car insurance.
Hmm.
Your car insurance from US, from Canada, from wherever is not going to transfer into the country. So make sure there's a lot of different companies. We're not going to recommend any, but there's lots of different companies.
Yeah.
Go to Google, Google Mexican car insurance. You're able to get a policy. Make sure you print out that policy with your immigration paperwork
Hmm.
and put it in your car. Again, anything happens, you get stopped, you get in an accident, anything happens, you have coverage. The other good thing about the Mexican car insurance, at least on the policy that we had, also had a number for roadside assistance if you get
Yeah.
in trouble, right? So you may have to utilize that. Hopefully not, but again, having that on you, I think will be helpful there. Things like that.
Yeah, another thing that is important, I think so, is then the policies depend on how long you're going to stay.
Exactly.
Sometimes getting the 6 months policy is more
It's cheaper.
reasonable, it's cheaper than,
Yeah.
yes, they
Yeah.
get in for a couple of days. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I was surprised to learn that
Hmm.
a policy for 30 days versus a policy for 6 months. The 6 month policy I think was cheaper,
Yes. Yeah.
so we ended up getting a 6 month policy just
Yeah.
because. Yeah, so definitely check that out, shop that around. I know think a lot of the auto insurance companies have relationships with other companies. So if you have current auto insurance now, you may want to ask them, hey, do you have any recommendations for Mexican car insurance down
Hmm.
there? Again, good thing to have, for sure. Driving. So driving is not for the faint of heart. Down there, to put it lightly.
Yeah. For example, me. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure. You're going to see some crazy things from time to time down there.
Yeah.
But a couple, I think, helpful tips in cruising down the highway. One, truckers are surprisingly super friendly.
Hmm.
Like if you need to, because the road is so narrow, if you need to pass, they will turn on their left turn hand turn hand left turn signal
Hmm.
to guide you and let you know that it's safe to pass. Really, really helpful because again, it's very difficult
Hmm.
to see around those trucks because they are so long and the road is so narrow. You can't really pop over there and see what's going on. So that's one. Uh, Stop signs. Stop signs are called what?
Ooh. Something you need to obey. Those are the stop sign.
Exactly. Stop
Yes.
signs are called altos. Alto,
Altos.
right? Alto
Hmm.
is the
Yeah.
Spanish word for stop.
Yeah.
You're going to see
Altos.
them. There's lots of different policies and techniques in handling them. A lot of what I've seen is kind of the roll, the slow roll. If there's only cars going in the same direction,
Hmm.
it's kind of the slow roll through the stop sign. If there are cars approaching at a four-way stop, and there are cars on either side, you do need to come to a complete stop.
Yeah.
Do not roll through them because you will definitely have problems because the
Yes.
other cars will begin to go and you'll.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I actually, there is not that many lights. They people use more the stops or altos to control the traffic, and that's something you're gonna see along almost all the Baja. So
ex-
it is a common occurrence. So just pay attention to those altos.
exactly. Exactly. The last thing I will tell you about driving down there are speed bumps, or what we like to call
Oh,
topes.
topes,
Are you
topes,
familiar with topes?
yes. They usually are announced. That's a good thing in some towns. Just keep in mind, if you're approaching a population, a little town, you're going to encounter those, even if they are no, the signals don't exist on the road. You will encounter topes. So
Yeah, and
yes.
I think the unique thing about them is sometimes there'll be signs, sometimes there won't be signs.
Hmm.
So you do need to, as you're driving, continue to scan the road ahead
Hmm.
to see if there is a speed bump ahead, because the speed bumps could potentially break your car. They're pretty,
Yes, if
some of them are pretty
yes,
beefy.
yeah,
So you definitely want to make sure you're scanning the road ahead on the speed bumps, things like that. There are a lot of you will see a lot of small signs for tire shops. There are tire shops along the way, right? It is common for people to have tire issues, things like that. So there is help down there. There are shops down there if you do need a tire or something put on. Um, more than likely there'll be someone to help you. Again, if you get the car insurance, see if you can reach out to roadside. See if you even have service down there. If not, people are pretty friendly. People are
yeah,
very, helpful down
yeah,
there, which is I think very different from the
yes,
U.S. sometimes.
yeah. People tend to like want to help.
Exactly.
Yes, want to help you.
Exactly. Exactly. So again, hopefully, these tips and tricks and things like that are helpful. This is our first episode, so bear with us. Our audio quality and our production will get better and better as we go along.
Same with a learning experience. And you have any issues understanding me, we'll have a translator next door, so
Exactly.
he can help us with that. Mhm. That's all
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. All right. So, like I said, this is episode one. We're going to upload this to YouTube, and then we are also going to do. We're going to upload this in podcast format, because I think, sometimes you're at the gym, you're working out, you're doing something, you're going on an errand, and it's just easier to just listen to. So you will be able to find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So, again, iTunes, Spotify, all those great avenues to download and get your podcasts. You'll be able to find us under Baja Fund. So thank you all for listening. Definitely appreciate it. And until next time, see ya.
See you.